My name's Flora Richmond, but I was born Flora Corbett. I'm 17. The First World War's just started, and I'm living with my mother in Saltcoats. Money's tight, and being the eldest of 6, with 4 brothers and a sister, I decided to try and get a job with the Bell's Explosive Company. My Aunt Marion lives about half an hour's walk from this factory in Stevenson, so she says I could stay with them. She's got loads of wains, from an infant in arms to Flossie, who's 12, and can always do with help. I make my application to get into the factory, and they say help's not needed right now, but they'll keep me in mind. As I'm leaving, I meet a lassie who lives beside my aunt, just coming from the office, looking very dejected, and she tells me she's just been turned down on account of heart trouble. Now this is a big healthy looking lassie, and here's me 4 feet 9 inches and 94 pounds. So I'd probably fail the medical anyway. I'm all set to go back to Saltcoats, but Aunt Marion pleads with me to stay on a bit, to help out. This is on the Monday the 26th of July 1915. For the next 4 days I try to find other work, because I like Stevenson. We're near the shore and it's like being in a holiday resort. By Friday, but there's still nothing doing, so it looks like I'm going home. Aunt Marion walks me to the station, and she's really keen to have me to stay on longer. I think she likes the company too, seeing as she's a bit lonely. So why not, eh? Back at Aunt Marion's, Flossie's putting the wee ones to bed, so the house is quiet. It's a warm night, about 10 o'clock, and so still out with most folk in their beds. We decide to have a cup of tea, and Aunt Marion asks me to run out to the wee shop for some biscuits. It's opened late, because they cater for the soldiers who guard the factory. So off I go. We have biscuits with our tea, then head to bed. This must be about 11ish. But there's to be no sleep for us this night. I'm just getting into my bed when there's the most terrific explosion. It rocks the house and sends my aunt to the door to see what's happened. She comes back in screaming, "Get the wains up and dressed, get them up, there's more to come." But this time, I'm behind her, looking out for myself. The whole sky's lit up, and I say to Aunt Marion, "Pray, 'cause it's the end of the world." Everyone's out of their houses, running about everywhere and anywhere. I do what Aunt Marion says and get busy dressing the wains, but it's hopeless. They're screaming for their mum, who's now completely disappeared with the baby. I'm a bit dazed myself, but I gather the wains and, still in my nightdress, we go to look for Aunt Marion. And believe me, I'm not the only one undressed. A lot of folks are just getting out of bed and fleeing. Me, in my nightie, with a squad of terrified wains, go from house to house, but they're all empty. Everyone's vanished. We come to the house at the end of Aunt Marion's road. There's folk there all right, women fainting and screaming all over the place, and men trying to help them. So I shout, "Is Mrs. Benson here?" That's my aunt's name. One of the men shouts to the rest, "Is there a Mrs. Benson here?" The answer comes back, "No." But they tell me to go over to the shore. Maybe she's down there. By this time, it's been about 2 hours since the first explosion, and there's been more going off at intervals of 15 to 20 minutes. First the terrific light in the sky, and then the big blast. I finally find Aunt Marion on the shore surrounded by crowds of other townspeople, all screaming and crying out for their sons or husbands who are at work in the factory. Some of the men, not sure who they are giving out blankets, so I take as many as I can get and wrap them round the wains. We're on that shore till 6 in the morning, when some guys from the factory come and tell us we can go home. That's over! The house is intact, but there's broken windows everywhere. Folk are boarding up shop fronts for fear of looting. I'm just glad we're all okay. But Aunt Marian's still a bit panicky, so she stays up while me and Flossie put the wee ones, then ourselves to bed. We're still in our night things anyway. I've just closed my eyes when there's a knocking on the door. Knocking on all the doors. It's the guards telling everyone to get as far away from the factory as possible because they're expecting a really big blast at 11 o'clock. I must be half asleep or in shock or something. Because my first thought is, it's only 8:30, we've still got time. So between us, me and Aunt Marian get the Wayne's dressed and they're all hungry and gurning. So between helping to get something cooked and getting them all into their clothes, I'm so busy I don't notice the time. It's nearly 10. We've still got an hour, right? Aunt Marian's trying to get a bit of breakfast into the wee one, and I have another look outside to see what's doing. And I just got onto the doorstep when the whole ground vibrates under me and there's a big awful blast. It's hard to describe. It's like everything just stops. Even the air stops. Afterwards, it's so quiet. I don't know how long I stand there for. Probably just seconds, but it feels like hours. I pat myself all over to see if I'm still in one piece. Then I run back into the house. Aunt Mary and the wee one have vanished again. The rest of the Waynes are screaming their heads off, so shoeless and only half dressed, I grab them all and make for the station. There's a train taking folks away who've been down on holiday, so me and the Waynes cram in beside them. It doesn't dawn on me that Aunt Marian doesn't know where we are. When we get back to Saltcoats, my mother and a host of other people are all at the station waiting for news of what's happened in Stevenson. I'm questioned by the posties and the railman myself, and when I tell them we spent all Friday night on the shore and about all the people fleeing and what the guard told us, they're amazed. We're all wondering if that big blast was the last. It was time for 11, but it seems it went off at 10. My mother's really worried about Aunt Marian, so we leave the Waynes with the neighbours and set off to look for her and the wee one. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon by the time we get back to Stevenson. There've been no more explosions since the big one, but still people are very apprehensive and not sure whether everything's over for good or if just a lull. We arrive at Aunt Marian's and no one's seen her since 10 o'clock. Then a lady tells us she's been cared for at the doctor's, as she was very hysterical in saying that her niece and her children had been blown into the sea. And most people believed it, because we'd just disappeared. She calms down when she sees me and Mother, and I tell her how I just bundled the Waynes and myself onto that train. No tickets or anything. She'd gone back to the shore with the wee one, thinking I'd followed with everyone else. I start working in the factory 2 months later. Money's great. And I meet William Richmond, the man I'll marry on the 26th of September 1916. Willie was in the factory that night, working all through the explosions. So here's what actually happened after 10 o'clock that Saturday morning. There was a blockage in the TNT pipe at the factory, and no one could get near enough to sort it. The bosses called for a volunteer to cut the pipeline, and one man steps up. Fortunately, he's not killed, but he is injured, and on recovery is given a lifetime job. Also, before the 10 o'clock blast that Saturday morning, the local paper came out with screaming headlines about the terror in the night and people fleeing for safety to the beach. It's very quickly suppressed, of course, and what copies get into the shops are confiscated, as you'd never have been printed, because there's a war on. So no one hears the correct version of what happened. Some of the company officials say later they thought a German Zeppelin had dropped a bomb. But my Willie was working at the factory that night, and my Willie wouldn't lie.